Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Sharp Tongue Podcast. I am your glorious host, Jessimae Peluso, and I'm here. It's the first episode of the new year. I don't know if you've read the news or watched the news. I don't even know if anyone reads the news anymore. That almost sounds like something that happened in the 1900s, which was the era that I was born. A lot's been going on in California, and a lot is gone in California. The coastline has changed. Neighborhoods have changed. It's been quite literally hot here. We're going to get into all that. First, don't forget that Dying Laughing is coming up. So it'll be right here. It's basically a better version of Sharp Tongue Podcast. It's not going to be much different. We're going to have similar conversations that we've had for years, just with some more fun guests. Like, oh my God! Urkel? His name's not Urkel, everybody. He has a real name. It's Jaleel White. And he has a memoir that's out, Growing Up Urkel. Look at him. Come on. From this to this, what a glow up. I mean, he glowed up in Family Matters when he was Stefan. Remember when he I think it was a drink? Was it a drink that he had to take and he turned into Stefan? Well, Jaleel is Stefan in real life. He'll be on Dying Laughing in March. He inscribed in the book, he said, Jessimae, I'm not John Stamos, but I'm damn close. And you're not wrong. You're not wrong, Jaleel. One of my favorite people. He's a good dude. Speaking of good guys, Stamos. Oh, I can't say his name normally. He's amazing. We're doing part 2 this Friday. So once we get that all set and we get some recording done with Jaleel and a couple other people and a couple of other episodes, we're going to have Dying Laughing right here for you guys. So make sure to check that out. And don't forget to like and subscribe this video and the YouTube page. Share it to your friends. It's what helps the podcast grow, and I appreciate it ahead of time for you guys being here and supporting and subscribing. If you want to see me live, I'm going to be on the road, jessimae.com for tickets. And you should know any way you support me, a portion of those ticket sales and any merch sales that I make or sell, a portion of that goes towards the Alzheimer's Association and Hilarity for Charity, both amazing causes that give back to people struggling with and dealing with Alzheimer's disease. So thank you for everybody who supports me, because by supporting me, you're supporting those amazing causes. And a bunch of other stuff. You know who I am. If you don't, hi, welcome. If you do, you know what to do. Thank you guys so much. And if you want to call into the podcast, 513-916-0930. Keep it cute. No heavy breathing. No gross questions. You know, some of you ask stuff and I don't even, what part of your brain thinks I'm going to repeat it? Sometimes I do, because it's so ridiculous. But keep it cute, and we do advice and questions and all types of things on the podcast. So send it in. A lot's been happening. First and foremost, it's almost a time where if you have your Christmas tree up still, you're considered a crazy person. Well, color me crazy. I don't think in this year that we should put our tree down. I think this is the type of year where we need Christmas. We need Christmas. There's been forest fires, terror attacks, a president died, and a president got sworn in. It's been a wild time. I think we need Christmas every day. So I'm here campaigning to have Christmas stay. I kept my tree up. It's in my studio at home, and I'm not putting it down. I'm not. But there's an article here. It says, here's when to take down your tree according to tradition, which we know America's all about tradition. The 12 Days of Christmas actually tells you when to take down your tree. I didn't know that. Did you guys know that the 12 Days of Christmas supposedly is a timeline? Most people don't know that the 12 Days of Christmas, yes, from the popular Christmas Carol, actually start on Christmas Day and they end on January 6th. Now, that's a little bit of a sensitive date. That date holds a lot of sensitive emotions for a lot of people on all sides of the spectrum. And you know, in this podcast, we don't get political, but I mean, where we're at right now, everything's flipped up on its ass, and all of those rioters seem to have been pardoned. So I think we can keep our trees up past January 6th. In fact, I think we must keep our trees up past January 6th because of our new history. That's why, according to Christian tradition, the Christmas season ends on January 6th, and that's when you should take down your tree and other decorations. In fact, some people believe it's bad luck to leave them up past the date. But there are other considerations to keep in mind. If you have a live tree, you got to get rid of your live tree. That's probably what started the frickin' fires out here in California. If I had a home and I lived up in the Palisades, for sure I'd be ground zero. I'd be just hanging out, falling asleep with a joint in my hand next to my crusty, dry Christmas tree. And I'd be like, yeah, oh God, it was Mother Nature. No, it was marijuana nature, and you're a bad person. You can't be falling asleep on your couch with a joint in your hand next to a dry, crispy Christmas tree. So, okay, yes, if you have a real tree, you should probably put it out. But that's so sad. Nothing makes me more sad, and I mean nothing. Famine, trafficking, nothing makes me more sad than seeing a Christmas tree by a trash can. It's the saddest image I've ever seen in my life. It just, to me, it signifies loss of hope in a different way. My inner child cries every time. I'm like, I'm going to save the tree. Save the trees. You know, it's a different meaning for me. I'm not out here trying to save the trees that are already alive. I'm out here trying to save the Christmas trees that hold on to that really special Christian tradition. I'm a Christian girl. I think Carly said that once, which is hilarious. So if you have a nice, dry, crispy tree dropping needles, it could become a fire hazard. It's good to throw it away. Beyond that, it's largely a personal choice when you put your decor away. According to Open Door Survey in 2022, 84% of people put their Christmas decorations away sometime in January, with 51% taking them down around New Year's Day. What kind of monster are you? What kind of monster takes their Christmas tree down on New Year's Day? Mara, do you decorate for Christmas? Do you decorate for Christmas? Do you have your tree up still? She's a monster. The producer's a monster. She doesn't have a tree up. When did you take it down? A couple weeks after New Year's. That's okay. That's actually a good time frame. For this author, they say, as for me, with a long gray Chicago winter ahead of me, I leave them up until spring. They get snaps. Absolutely. Leave your tree up. If it brings you cheer, just make sure it's not a real one and you're not in a fire hazard zone like we are here. Speaking of, I have never been drier in my life than these past couple of weeks. Everything is dry on the landscape. I looked at my chest skin today when I was getting ready, and it resembled, you can't see the wall, but there's a textured wall on the other side of the studio. That's what my chest skin looked like. And it's like you drink water and then you fill back out. I feel like a cartoon character. I am so freaking dry. And a lot of you are probably curious. I am not directly in the line of fire, but I was affected by it because where I live, we get the Pacific wind right away. So when the fire and the smoke was going out into the sea, we were like, oh, good. And then that baby took a hard left and actually made a U-turn right back into our neighborhood. And I had ash all over my place. You could see it inside of my home and in my backyard. So I left because I was getting migraines. I'm pretty sure we're all going to get mesothelioma in a few years. You know, people are trying to compare this to 9/11. It's obviously a completely different type of disaster. But man, if I see those commercials, I'm going to sue someone. I don't know who to sue. Because a lot of people out here are like, was it arson? Is it Mother Nature? First of all, Mother Nature is an arsonist. Are you kidding me? She's a floodist. She's an arsonist. She's a windist. She's trying to get rid of us any way she can. It's self-care season for Mother Nature. She's like, oh, you didn't listen to me when I said I needed you to back up and give me some space? Okay, well, here's a whole bunch of heat and wind. This is some sort of Disney villain. Now, Mother Nature's like, I'm not messing around. And I'm not afraid of Mother Nature where I live. I live on the west side. I'm afraid of methy nature. I deal with fires all the time. The only difference is they're set by meth heads outside of their tents. There's always a fire in Venice. So when there were fires, I'm like, yeah, of course there's fires. No, of Mother Nature kind. She's pissed. Mother Nature's mad, as she should be. We're being rude to her house. My mother was the same way, by the way. If I took anything for granted, she'd take it away from me. That's what Mother Nature's doing. She's like, oh, you're going to take me for granted? Cute. I'm going to get rid of everything and see how you feel then. See if you start shaping up. Shape up or ship out. That's what Mother Nature's saying. She's pulling a Nancy Finley right now. My mom, one time, I got so mad, and I was mad at her for something. I was mad at my mom for something, and I slammed my bedroom door. I slammed it kind of hard. Nancy came up with a drill and took my bedroom door off the wall and said, now try and slam the door and see how it feels. Do you know how long she kept my door off of the hinge? I was in there getting dressed and undressed. I'm like, Mom. She's like, nope, that's what you get for slamming my door. That's what Mother Nature's doing. She's like, you're going to mess up my land? I'm going to burn it. I'm going to burn it to the ground. And it's horrible. It's horrible that people lost their homes. Nancy tried to kick me out of hers a couple times. Didn't work. Now she's dead and the home's gone. Full circle. And I don't know. Everyone, there's so many conspiracy theories. No one knows what's what. I love that people out here are so sure of themselves. No one knows what's what. We don't even know how the country really is ran. Sure, there's rules and checks and balances. No one knows. Bunch of scam artists. We only know what they let us know, and that's that. So I love when I meet someone who's so sure. It's like, oh, is that really how it's done? You know for certain? You know for certain? Sure. Were you in the room? I was going to eat this Starburst, and then I stopped because I have already slammed 2 of these. One of my favorite candies, by the way, and I don't really eat candy at all. Starburst is dangerous because you take a Starburst and you throw it in your mouth, you'll lose a couple fillings. Fillings. You throw a Starburst in that pie hole, it's going to yank out a filling or 2. In fact, I think Starburst is dental care for broke people. If there's something wrong with your mouth, just eat some Starburst and it'll yank out whatever tooth is giving you a problem. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what happened in California. The water shut off. In my mind, I'm like, well, we're so close to the ocean. Why don't we just scoop that up? Well, the winds were 100 miles per hour. You can't exactly scoop up ocean water when there's torrential winds happening. Just so aggressive. Winds like we've never experienced. And by the way, they're back. The winds are back. How great is that, guys? They came back. Because Mother Nature's like, nothing's changed. You guys aren't listening to me. Why do you think she's called Mother Nature? She's trying to reprimand us. It reminds me of that bit by George Carlin where he says, we're out here trying to save the whales and save Mother Nature. Mother Nature doesn't need to be saved. We do. He said Mother Nature is going to shake us off like fleas. And that's, I think, is what is happening. It's wild. And I think we need to bring back delusion. I don't know how to spell the word, but I want to bring it back. Because reality is a little too real. So I'm all here for delusional winter. We talked about a brat summer. Let's have a delusional spring. We need a delusional spring where we're not really tapped into reality because it seems like we don't have any control anyways. So let's all do what we need to do to experience more joy. Find things that bring us more joy. Because honestly, when you're on your phone and you're looking at what everyone's saying, no one knows what's what. So it's going to cause absolute chaos. And I've been sending people videos. Look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. We don't know what is real. All these AI videos that are coming out now. So I really think we need to get off our phones. I feel like we need to put our feet in the grass, however we can, more often, in whatever way, and however that means to you. Get your feet in the grass. Honestly. So much has happened. I haven't talked to you guys since I have flown a couple times. This wild thing happened with this woman and her dog that had a service dog vest. Now, look, I'm a person. I have 3 dogs. I love to travel with them. I think having animals in your life is amazing. But I also think people who take advantage of the way things are done when you're traveling, there's a special place in travel hell for them because you ruin it for the rest of us. So this woman has a dog that has a service vest on. And, it's a small dog. It's one of these little teeny dogs. And so the dog barks while we're all waiting by the gate. And I've never seen these gate agents move at all. In fact, they do give a lot of attitude. You guys know I'm someone who doesn't, I don't fight. Like, that's not my nature. I don't want to fight. I'm always trying to find a solution. I'm not saying I'm the greatest person in the world, but what I'm saying is I don't look for confrontation. It's not my vibe. But you guys know I've had confrontations with gate agents. And so I feel like they just, when there's an opportunity for them to flash some authority, they're coming around the desk. So the dog barked once. This woman moved so fast from the gate agent desk, and I'm back here watching. I was like, ooh, something's going down with the service dog. And I'm thinking in my mind, you better make it do a trick or something. Make it service. If I were her, I would fake a seizure. I would like, I would like make it happen. And then the woman, she can't do anything at that point. The dog was barking because it's alerting to a seizure. Because otherwise you're ruining it for the rest of us. You better fake whatever injury or disability you say you have, or you're going to ruin it for the rest of us. So the dog barks and the gate agent comes over. She's like, that's not a service dog. And the woman goes, what do you mean? Yes, it is. I have paperwork. And the woman's like, no, they're not supposed to bark. And in my mind, I'm thinking, a service dog has never barked? Now, fully sure this woman's a scam artist, for sure. There's no way. It was like a doodle. And I'm not saying doodles can't be service dogs. They're so smart. They're also a little bit of a bitch. Let's be real. Like, literally, if it's a female, they are a bitch. But Labradoodles, more often than not, are like in a house like Martha Stewart. And I'm not talking about like jailhouse Martha Stewart. I'm talking like countryside. I have peacocks in my backyard. No longer, because I think they died. But that's a lifestyle that Martha Stewart lives. So like that's what Labradoodles usually, they're not like, out here trying to work. They leave that to the Chihuahuas. Labradoodles are literally in the lap of luxury. So like her dog's serving nothing other than attitude in this airport terminal. And so Lady's like, no, service dogs aren't supposed to bark. But I'm thinking like, not one service dog has barked ever in the history of service dogs. Someone I used to know was a service dog trainer. And I wish I would have thought to give him a call and ask. But a lot of people are so self-righteous about, no, my dog never barks. If I trained the dog, it would never bark. Not once. Because I can see that dog, if he really wants to bark and he knows he's not supposed to, he's like, oh, I really want to bark. I really, really want to bark. I really want to bark. I really want to, there's a squirrel. God, that squirrel smells so good. Or, I know that's cheese. Like, what if a service dog just smells his favorite cheese? And he wants someone to know that he wants some. And he's been servicing for so long that he's like, I gotta let him know I know there's cheese. He's not going to bark? So this lady's dog barks. And the gate agent's like, no, it's not a service dog. So they make this a big to-do. They put a lot of energy in this poor woman. It's literally right after the holidays. It's holiday travel. The world is wild. I'm not saying, that people don't deserve some sort of retribution. What I'm saying is it the biggest deal? Even though people like her ruin it for people like me, is it what we really should be focusing on? How about we just make sure people getting on the plane are the actual people that should be on the plane? How about we make sure the gas is where it needs to be on the plane? How about we make sure the brakes are good? A lot of planes are taking off and having to make emergency landings because there's a screw loose. Why don't we put more energy into the structure of the aircraft I'm entering that is a metal box propelled into air, and I'm trusting that the pilot isn't blowing lines in the bathroom with the flight attendants? How about we focus on that instead of this lady's service poodle who's traveling alone on the holidays? So they let her on the plane. She happens to sit right behind me in first class. Humble brag. Cost an arm and a leg. Still be paying that off probably longer than these people are paying off their student loans, and they even got those excused. So she sits behind me, and her dog is making a little bit of noise. And I don't care. Babies cry on flights. Dogs cry on flights. You're stuck in fart clouds on flights. There's a lot that is a disruption and really, an infringement on your peace that you just have to deal with. I wasn't thinking anything about the dog, and it's right behind me. The gate agent comes on the plane, and takes the woman off the flight, says she can't take the flight. I'm like, is this really necessary? I thought it was so drastic. It also scared me from even thinking about making my dogs service animals. Can you imagine Chaplin? He has no teeth. Chaplin looks like he's been day drinking every year of his life. I'm going to have him what service is he providing? He's providing the beverage service on the flight, and he's only serving himself. And that's my service dog. So let it happen and don't question me. I felt bad for that lady. I felt really, really bad. You know, flying is such a racket. Because before I got to my gate, you know, they had a TSA agent in a wheelchair. And, you know, everyone deserves to work. I just thought in emergency, my first gut reaction was, I don't know what he's going to be able to do. But then I thought, in an emergency, I'm hopping on that fucker's lap and we're wheeling out of here. We are wheeling the hell out of here. I thought, how genius. Who you are as a person is also an escape vehicle. And so I just kind of hung around him for a while I was in line in case there was anybody that wanted to cause a little holiday travel stress. We locked eyes. I'm like, you and me. He said, you and me. I said, okay, you got my back and I got your wheels. And you and I are going to ski on out of here if someone causes us problems. So at first I thought it was going to be a bad thing, but then I realized it wasn't so bad. I want to do some Maybay's mail. Let's see what we have here. We've got a bunch from the holidays, friends and fam, all my podcast fam. Love you guys. If you want to shoot us an email, you can do that at jessimaepelusocomedy@gmail.com. You also can slide up in my DMs. Keep it cute. We have Chris Bath, who says, I wonder, is that a real last name? Hello, celebrity crush. I love your comedy, and I hope you make it to Denver in the near future. I also like when you're on the Adam Carolla podcast. Keep doing what you do. I look forward to more content. Thank you so much. I was just on Adam's podcast, and, you know, a lot of people like to give everyone crap about their political viewpoints or their viewpoints on whatever. I think it's important for us to expose ourselves to all types of viewpoints. That's the beauty of the world. Differing opinions and looking at things differently. By nature, we want to be around people who remind us of ourselves. It's tribalism. It's what human beings do naturally. And I think it's important to shake that tribalism up and get into conversations that aren't necessarily what you think is right, and you want to challenge it. So that's why I'm saying that, because a lot of people give Adam Carolla crap for how he is and what he talks about. Do I agree with everything he says? No. He's always been good to me, and I enjoy having a debate. Him and I sometimes debate because we don't always see eye to eye. But I was just on his show, and I said, it's so funny because people take things so seriously. But I said, wouldn't it have been funny if Arnold Schwarzenegger was our governor during this time with the wildfires? Like, we got Gavin Newsom, and he's got a blowout, a manicure, a tan. This man looks like he came right off the beach. His hair looks like it doesn't move. It didn't move. 100-mile winds. 100-mile-per-hour winds. His hair, not one fucking hair on his head moved. I was questioning the wind. I'm like, is it windy? Also, I need to get the name of his hairspray. This man shows up in his freaking outfit. You know he bought that natural disaster outfit that day. He's in a fresh outfit showing up. I want Arnold Schwarzenegger. I want him to show up in the helicopter. He's got war paint on. He's like, get through the chopper. That's who I wanted. I said, how much fun would that be? He shows up with his emotional support horse or donkey. I guess it's a donkey. Adam and I were all about it. It's like we got Rambo as the governor. And he's literally in a helicopter saving everybody. Get out! And he's just grabbing you with his strong arm. We got Gavin Newsom, who's moving like one of those presidential marionette puppets from the presidential hall in Disney World. He's like, yeah. And this isn't a political statement. I'm having fun. I'm a light. I'm here to be a light in all the craziness. And I say that because everyone's on Adam's page. Oh, you will actually get Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't a good governor. I love people who've never done a job saying how bad of a job some people have done. Yeah, I've done it too. I've said that too, but I've never done the job. I don't know how hard the job is. I'd be a great governor. I'd be like, guys, do we need more petting zoos? I think, guys, look, money's important, but I feel like we should all just do shrooms and talk about what we're thinking. Not what we're feeling, but like, what are you seeing on the shrooms right now? And then we'll go to a petting zoo. I'm going to be setting up more petting zoos in the city. Everyone, don't worry. I'm lowering gas. Gas will be free. And because why are we paying for that? Also, groceries will be free because those are so expensive and we're all hungry. I feel like if we're fed and we can get to where we need to go, we'll probably be better as people. You know, if we can get to our friends' houses on a full stomach and a full tank of gas, I feel like we're going to be less stressed. And if you hit 2 or 3 petting zoos on the way, score, you know? Tell me a day that you've pet a goat and it's been a bad day. Have you ever pet a goat? They're so cute. Okay, let's do another Maybay mail. Jesse, thank you so much for the surprise in my order. Oh, I sent someone who came to see me, I think it was either Omaha or Chicago, had ordered some merch. You can order some merch too at jessimae.com/store or shop, one of those. A portion of proceeds go towards the Alzheimer's Association and Hilarity for Charity. I have a whole bunch of fun stuff on my shop online. They said, thank you so much for the surprise in my order. I love the handwritten note and the stickers and the extra koozie. Made my night. I've been a fan for a long time. I love your podcast. My husband and I saw you at the Syracuse show. There we go. Erin. Oh, Erin. I know Erin. She's been a fan for a hot minute. I'm glad you got all the fun stuff. Let's see. We got a couple other pieces of mail here. Oh, this was, someone sent me a request on Venmo. I guess you can request anybody. Did you know that? You can request anyone. So someone sent me a Venmo request for $100. And in the comment where you put what the request is for, he wrote, Sugar Mom? ? In what world? See, this is the problem with equality. You women want equality. Now they're asking us for money because we're making our own. I'm going back to the kitchen. This is why I think a woman's place is in the kitchen, because these mofos are out here. He's holding a baby in the photo. Okay, he looks like he's got an Eagles jersey. The kid's got a matching Eagles jersey. A sports fan, able to buy jerseys. Those are not cheap, right, Deb? Jerseys are expensive. Debbie's got Jets jerseys because she's a diehard fan and loves to be heartbroken. Jerseys are not cheap. And so he's got 2 jerseys and he's asking me for money. This is why equality isn't going to work out. I want a sugar daddy. You send me money. So I didn't respond to him, but then he denied, he shut down his request. I think he realized this is probably ridiculous. And you're right, sir. To you, I say good day, sir. You get nothing. I was like Willy Wonka at the end of the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. You lose, sir. Good day. Check you later. Here's another fan, Giles Hernandez. He says, hi, sorry for my poor English language. I'm just a Frenchie. I'm just watching Tattoo redo, and I don't have any dreams except saying how much I think you are a wonderful woman. Beautiful with humor and smart spirit. Thanks for the joke and humanity during the show. Have fun anyway. I love when translation is strange. Because that could be a robot, but it's definitely someone from France. But it sounds like my meta wrote that. I'm just kidding, guys. I wrote that to myself. No, I think this is a real person. But this is how easy it is to get scammed. That's why it's important to differentiate between being alone and loneliness and feeling lonely. Because if you are feeling too lonely, this could tap right into that. And you're like, oh, an online friend. And then you guys are chatting. And the next thing you know, you're Venmoing Gilles Hernandez $60,000 because he's got some surgery. Like that poor French woman. Oh, guys, I'm Italian. First and foremost, I'm Italian. I told you all. I'm Sicilian, not French. No oui. Io sono italiana. So this woman sent $800K to some scam artists who were claiming they were Brad Pitt and were photoshopping horrifically photoshopping pictures of Brad Pitt. There was one of him in surgery, and he looked like he just was like underneath the sheet, and she fell for it. She fell for it and sent $800,000. That's never coming back. It's never coming back. And I would love to know who gets scammed more in these cases of love, where love is the thing that's being used. Love is the conduit to someone losing. That's a life savings. I'd love to know if it's women who get scammed more or men. And I bet men get scammed in a different way, you know? And this is also a form of equality. Like, let's flip the script. Let's start scamming these dudes. We got to scam. I'm going to pretend I'm Angelina Jolie and I've got gout. I have a horrible case of gout. I have dysentery and gout. Please I have 45 children I need to pay for. Please, if you love me, please to send me money to my Venmo. She thought she was in love with Brad. It's so funny because it's like, here's a woman who's clearly vulnerable to getting scammed in this scenario, but also has the confidence enough to think Brad Pitt would love her. I mean, what a conundrum. She's so lonely. She's sending money to someone she's never met, yet she's like, I could totally get Brad Pitt. Girl, we all need therapy. I feel bad for her. I really do. I don't know what came of her, but that story took me by storm. I was like, damn, she is me. You know, because I almost got scammed by Josh Wolf, who commented on the post I made about this Brad Pitt scam thing. And he said, remember when I told you that I was going to give you Brad Pitt's number? No, he gave me Brad Pitt's number. You remember this, Deb? This years ago? He gave me Brad Pitt's number, and Carly and I planned for a week what I was going to say when I called him, because I was convinced that Josh Wolf had given me Brad Pitt's number. I was like, yeah, sure, this is how it works. Absolutely. And I wasn't even vulnerable in that situation. I just was dumb. But I will say that someone was probably dead. Either my dad or my mom, someone was dead. I think my dad had died. And I've said this before about grief. Grief makes you a different type of vulnerable. The vulnerability you experience while you're grieving is very specific to that experience, because you are in a place that is so new. It's literally uncharted territory. When you lose a person, especially a parental figure like that is such uncharted territory that you're experiencing emotions you never experienced before. So you are susceptible to all types of scams, even ones from some of your best friends. So Carly and I prepared a monologue for about a week as to what I was going to say when Brad Pitt answered my call, whom I've never met. Yeah, for sure. Brad's going to answer the phone. And I was even texting Josh, like, what do I say? Does he know I'm going to call? And Josh played along. He's so screwed up. And I'm going to get Josh Wolf back. Mark my words, guys. Some way, somehow, I'm going to get him back, and he's not going to know. He's not going to know how or when, but I'm going to get him back. Someone sent me a photo. They typed into Google Jessimae Peluso husband, and 4 photos popped up. One was a photo of me in Rogan's old studio. He has the werewolf from, I think, American Werewolf in London, the creature from that movie in his studio with the horns behind it. So that's as close as I'll ever get to a husband. First and foremost, a hairy man on all fours. Prerequisite. And, well known. I'm not a fame chaser by any stretch, but someone who's worked hard in their life and has garnered some form of established some form of a reputation that is well known, in being successful. Someone who's had to work and has lost. Yes, the werewolf would probably be the closest thing to a soulmate I could imagine for myself. The next photo is of Joe and I with said Wolverine. Werewolf. No, Joe's not involved in this. He's a happily married man. I'm not a homewrecker. So no to Joe being my husband. But maybe this is a photo of me with my husband and Joe is there as a witness to our ceremony. I'm here for that. He can officiate. I'm sure that there would be some sort of deer hunting ceremony after we get married. Then there's a photo of me alone. My husband is me. You know what? You're not wrong. I'd have to say that I'd make a great Mr. Peluso. I'd make a great Mr. Peluso. And then the fourth photo is of me and my father. No thanks. Not from that part of the world where that is acceptable. Have never looked at my dad and said, man, that's the love of my life. Well, I take that back. I definitely looked at him and said he's the love of my life. Just not in that way, because that's absolutely disgusting. I don't even think in that term. But this is actually a photo from the first time I ever did stand-up. I was 19 in this photo, and the look of pride on my dad's face is so cute. And my dad always wanted to be, I think he always wanted to be a stand-up comedian, which is kind of sweet. And I think, I've talked about what I do for work so much, but I do think that a part of me probably gravitated towards the thing that my dad loved in a way to keep him close to me. And now it's something that I do to keep his quote unquote legacy alive for my sister and I and for my family, to sort of talk about him continually through my art, if you want to call it that, and my podcast and on stage. So even though he's not my husband, he was the love of my life. But I think out of these four photos, the most accurate one would probably have to be the werewolf. Yeah, a nice hairy man. It's a toss-up between the werewolf and me being alone. I'm not afraid of it. And I'm not going to get scammed anymore by you people. I'm going to shoot some Venmo requests. I should send a Venmo request back to that kid and see if I get some money. I should add interest for him even asking for $100. How about that? Oh, you want to ask me for money? Well, I raise you, fool. I raise you. Speaking of dads, I had an overheard while I was traveling. And it was I think it was the American Airlines terminal. I normally fly Delta. I'm a Delta gal, even though they really screwed us over on the new medallion status in 2025. They took it away from us. Like, this is ridiculous. I've worked so hard. I've flown so I'm committed to you guys, and you're making it hard for me to stick around. Delta kind of treated everybody like a narcissist boyfriend, where you're like, hey, wait a minute. What are you doing? You told me that I kept being committed to you and that you'd give back to me and you'd love me and you care for me, and now you're turning around and you're taking it all back? They took away our medallion status. And you guys are probably like, oh God, first world problem. You're not wrong. When you're someone that travels as much as I do, comfort is necessary for my health. Otherwise, I'm getting sick if I can't at least sleep on the plane comfortably. If I can't get some delicious snack in general, I'm going to turn into a werewolf. So for your safety and my health, I need to fly somewhat comfortably. So I was in American Airlines terminal hanging out at Lemonade. They were charging $57 for some cold ass egg quiche, which I don't recommend eating before you get on a frickin' plane. Quiche is not good airline food. Any food is not good airline food. So I slammed this egg quiche with some potatoes. I love a little potato with my egg quiche. And there's this guy sitting next to me with his daughter and his wife. And the daughter was playing at the table. She was kind of like being a kid, she's like 8 years old and had all this energy and waving her arms around and kind of just being a cute little kid. And there was a glass of some orange juice or something in front of her. And the mother asked her to stop. In the same time, the father moved the glass and said to the daughter, I don't have faith in Mia. Meaning he didn't have faith that she wouldn't knock that over. Now, as someone who knocks over any type of glass, I knock over any type of glass in my life. And sidebar, shout out to the artist in Chicago who sent me these beautifully restored Grey Goose bottle that he's fancied into these recycled glassware pieces. It's called Be-Cycled Bottles by Brandon Eckenrode. He is the chief bottling officer. He left me these beautiful glasses in the green room at Chicago Improv. He turned these parts of the bottle into shot glasses into drinkable mugs. There were 4 pieces. There's only 3 now because I broke one of them. I'm no stranger to breaking things. Okay? And I try my best. My assistant Deb will no longer buy me anything breakable. Everything she gets me is rubber now because she knows. She knows. She said, fool me once, shame on you. She replaced my Winnie the Pooh glass bowl twice, and she said, never again. Not me, not now, not never. Now, I say this because I get it. Mia may be clumsy. She's 8 years old. The world is new to her. Everything's exciting. But when I heard the dad say, I don't have faith in Mia, I felt bad for Mia. He didn't even make eye contact with her. He didn't say it in a funny way. He said it very matter-of-factly. And I was right next to them, and I looked at Mia's face, and I could see that register for her. And I'm not a parent. You know, I am Mother May. I'm the mother of this podcast. And I find a responsibility in reporting to you how the world appears to me and how I exist in the world. And when I heard that for her and saw her reaction, I felt so bad for her. Because here I thought, here's this little girl just excited. She's traveling with her parents. Sure, kids are annoying. I don't have kids. My sister tells me all the time, you know how many times I'd much rather change places with you and travel and be in an airport alone than with my 2 children right now who are up my butt while I'm trying to be on this Peloton? I get it. But the words we say carry weight. They carry weight, especially and specifically, and maybe even very particularly in children, in our children. This guy, right then in that moment, I think maybe may have created a core issue for Mia for the rest of her life. I could be wrong. I really would like to see her down the road. Wouldn't it be funny if I was in the same airport terminal, sitting at Lemonade, slamming, probably at that point, it'll be a $100 souffle down my neck. I'm going to go tell jokes for the 147th time at Yuck Yucks in Canada. And I'm on my way there, and I see Mia, and she's sitting there with her daughter. And I look at Mia, and Mia's daughter's going crazy. And Mia's daughter goes and knocks the glass over, and I'm looking at Mia, and then Mia looks at me, and then Mia looks at her daughter, and she's like, you dumb little bitch. No, she looks at her daughter, and she breaks the cycle and says, it's okay. We don't cry over spilt orange juice in this family. Only if there's freaking champagne in it. Don't waste it. Mommy needs a party. Even though it's 7 a.m., she's got to travel with her daughter, so she needs a little bit of mommy's magical medicine. So we don't knock over mommy's orange juice. I felt bad for her. But it also made me feel grateful for my parents. Not that they didn't say things that I'm sure affected me. Nobody's perfect, and parenting seems impossibly hard. Especially in today's world where everything seems to be moving so fast and we don't know what's what, like I was talking about in the beginning of the podcast, these people who have lost homes. And I make jokes about it because that's my job. And if you're sensitive about what I say, then you don't understand what it is that I do and what I enjoy to do the most and why I think I'm here on this earth. It's my job to bring light to everything that goes on. Everything. That literally is my purpose. It's not my job to be well-versed in mathematics. And there are people who are great at that. There are people who are only good at math. I'm horrible. There are people whose job it is to save people. There are people whose job it is to put themselves in a line of danger in order to save people. Those people are actual heroes and angels that we have, and we should be so grateful that we have them. And I obviously feel horrible for everybody who lost everything. As someone who feels like I've lost everything, I feel like I can relate to them. My mom and dad were my home, and I was lucky that that was the case. I was so fortunate and am so fortunate that my parents were my foundation. My parents were my house. My parents were my home, and I have lost both of them. So I felt a great deal of compassion to these people who seem to have lost everything and who have lost everything and whose lives are completely uprooted. There's a common experience in that sort of loss, and they're going through a whole grief that I can relate to in that way. And so I'm going to keep doing what I do because I feel like this is light in people's lives. And that's my goal, is to be a light in everyone's life. And anyone out there who's listening who lost their home, I feel for you. All I can say to that, after losing the people who felt like home to me, is that in that loss, the greatest lessons I've ever learned in my life have resided. That the loss itself creates a home for lessons that you would never expect to learn. It creates a new house for you in a way. It creates a place for you to grow and a place for you to let go. And it really teaches you what's important and what to hold on to and what to let go of. And so for anyone out there who's had to let go of that sort of thing, I hope that this podcast helps you. I hope it brings you some joy. I hope it brings you some light. And thank you guys so much for being here. And thank you for sticking around. Love ya.